What is up, folks? What is going on? Welcome to another episode of VR365. What is the latest, bro? Alrighty, so anyway, it is Thursday. Like this music? Kind of nice and depressing, right? Let's go ahead and listen to it. Let's listen to this solemn downer of a music. It could have been beautiful, you know? We could have had a beautiful terrace, a downtown city center to explore. Instead, nothing. Okay, what is up, everybody? This is Anthony with VR365. What is going on? It is Thursday. It is January 30th, and it is currently 4:34 p.m. It is a strange hour, folks. A strange hour, a strange time. Why am I here at this strange time? I decided to start a little bit early today because I wanted to give myself a full 2 hours if I wanted to use it. If I wanted to use 2 hours, I can use 2 hours by starting at basically 4:30, gives me all the way to 6:30 if I wanted to do that. So I could do that. But anyway, basically, we are here, folks. This is going to be a weird episode. You might think I'd be prepared for my final episode ever. But no, of course not. And maybe that's why this is the final episode ever. Actually, let's start with that really quick. Number one, is this the final episode of VR365? Well, for now it is. Basically, the bottom line, I'm going to address the monetization thing one time at the top of this show, and then I don't want to talk about it anymore whatsoever. We're going to drop it. Let's leave it alone. Let's let it go away. I'm going to address it one time. Okay, so in late December, actually, you know what? You know who you have to thank for this, guys? Guess who you have to thank? MainFan, I'm selling you down a river. MainFan one time told me, we were talking about the AdSense problem, and MainFan told me, he said, you know what, if I had that problem with the AdSense, I would stop doing YouTube. I wouldn't do another single show until I got the AdSense fixed. I would stop doing the show and wouldn't do a single show. He told me this a long time ago, and for some reason in December, it was December of last year. Yeah, MainFan, do you remember that? A long time ago, he told me that. But in December, just this last December, I was thinking, you know what? Maybe what I should do is I should come out and say, if I can't get my AdSense situated by January 1st, 2020, I'm done. But what happened is I ran out of time. There wasn't enough time. There wasn't enough time to notify like Patreon supporters and stuff like that. There simply wasn't enough time. So I didn't do it then. But then in early January, I contacted Team YouTube, and I thought that something was actually going to happen. I thought this time was different. And so then I did decide to say to myself, I said, you know what? If I don't get my monetization situated, if I don't get monetization for this channel, not necessarily that I had to have monetization by February 1st, but if I don't have the problem, like whatever the problem is, somehow figured out where there's going to be an eventual solution, if that didn't happen by February 1st, then F it, I'm done. And I'm basically sticking to that. So you're not going to see another episode of VR365 on YouTube until it is monetized in some way, like legit monetization. And I don't want to get into anything else after that, so let's just let it drop, okay? Now, does that mean there will never be another video by me? No, that does not mean that. In fact, worst case scenario, now I know a lot of people wouldn't do this. But worst case scenario, I will have some video content that will be available on vrgamerankings.com. It'll be hosted somewhere else, but the way that you would watch it would be at vrgamerankings.com. But I'm not in a rush to do any of that. But that is going to happen, assuming nothing ever happens with this YouTube channel and I never get monetized and it's just game over. Now, will I ever be on YouTube myself personally? Probably. You probably will see me on YouTube. I'll probably be a guest on some particular VR gaming show at some point or another. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I will. So I'm not allergic to YouTube. I'm not going to say I'll never, ever be on YouTube ever again. Maybe I will guest on a couple of different shows out there. So I might still appear on YouTube. But until I get monetization, my channel, as far as I'm concerned, I'm just not going to bother with it. I'm not going to delete the channel. I'm not erasing it. I'm just going to leave it the way it is. And if anything ever, I'll tell you what, here's the number one thing I'll tell you. Somehow, if I get monetization, I'll be back in a New York minute and it'll be like nothing ever happened. And you'll have 2 shows a week like I was doing before. And also in the background, I will be working on a different kind of a video. See, part of the problem with this monetization thing, most people will say, oh my God, dude, you don't get enough views. It doesn't even matter. You're talking about $1 at most for some of your episodes. If you're lucky, you're talking about $1. And Super Chat, yeah. You've got PayPal, you've got Patreon. It's not like you're going to get a whole bunch more off of Super Chat. I understand all of that. But one of the problems with no monetization is there's no incentive for me to even try. There's no incentive for me to even try to get better. Why would I try to get better? Why would I create some kind of new format when I'm not monetized? So there's no incentive. So it's just, that's the whole thing. So anyways, we're done with that. That thing is completely done. And we're not going to worry about that. VR Spry Guy says, if Anthony quits doing shows, he'll have time to fix AdSense. No, there's nothing I can do. It's out of my hands. Someone from Google, well, the only thing is like I have this account that is stuck. And that account needs to close. And I don't have the ability to close it. I simply do not have the ability to close this AdSense account. It needs to close. I don't know that it's ever going to close on its own. I think there has to be intervention from Google. There has to be intervention. And if they choose not to intervene, then I don't think anything is ever going to happen. So I may never grace YouTube again with an actual show. You know, this actually is an interesting discussion real quick. I don't want to talk about monetization anymore. I don't want to talk about that. We want to get off of that. Let's freaking get off of that. But what I do want to talk about real quick, since this is an interesting topic and since this is what we're talking about right here, YouTube is an effing monopoly. YouTube is a monopoly, straight up. It is a straight up monopoly. What is the definition of a monopoly? YouTube. That's the definition of a monopoly. There's no other game. There's no game out there. There's no competition for YouTube. Now, if all you do is stream Fortnite, sure. If you're a streamer where you're playing games and you're constantly streaming, especially if you have some big you-know-whats, there's other opportunities out there, right? You don't necessarily have to do YouTube. But my type of thing, this type of show, and the other kind of content that I would create, YouTube is the only game in town. It is a 100% monopoly. And see, here's the problem with monopolies. The problem with a monopoly is it doesn't give a fuck. It doesn't give a fuck. It doesn't care about any small little channel like mine. It doesn't care. I'm so freaking tiny, they don't care. They've set up a system where if somebody falls through the cracks, like where I'm falling through the cracks, because my problem doesn't work with their automated system. It's one of a very small sliver of exceptions that messes up their automatic system, and it requires an actual human. And they're willing to let a certain number of people just go. They don't care. And there's probably some bare minimum. They probably have somebody assigned that looks at this stuff. They looked up my channel real quick. They saw that it was under 100,000 subs, and they're like, forget this, and they move on. They don't have enough time. They simply don't have enough time. There's people with legitimate channels that have hella subs that have problems. They're going to worry about those people. And they're a monopoly. They can get away with it's their game. It's their field. Do you want to play on their field? You play by the rules. Oh, Jim Hall coming out of the blue. And dude, Jim Hall, I feel bad for Jim Hall. Because Jim Hall, I seriously feel bad for Jim Hall, man. Because Jim Hall, see these beautiful backgrounds that we got here? Like the little boxes that we have. And he created a lot of stuff, did a lot of help. Jim Hall, God damn it. I thank you so much for all your help. In fact, you know what? I've got to thank a ton of people. And as I'm going through this show, I need to thank a ton of people. And one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop up some of these little things to play in the trailer window just to thank some people. These are some PayPal donators of VR365. I've got a lot of people to thank. This show's going to be all over the map. It's going to be all over the map. If you're not a real fan of VR365, there may be some boring parts of this show that won't work for you, because I'm just gonna wing whatever. It's my last show. I can do whatever the hell I want, right? Okay, so I just did want to thank some of the PayPal donators of VR365. Deli freaking Wolfensparger, dude was a champion. He was like my #1 champion for a minute, kind of faded away. Maybe he got tired. Maybe I said something that pissed him off, not sure. But Deli Wolfensparger, Prime Time, Will Flourish, Goran Galenik, Adam, Brandon Campbell, Jason Westmus, Hyperion, I think is how it goes, Hussein X, Shantomio, Sarin, Michael Kowarski, Sion, Laser Rob, Trevor Mitchell. So I'm going to be thanking a ton of people throughout this entire show. So I'll just leave that going. What was I? Oh, so I'm talking about a monopoly. See, a monopoly, there's no incentive. And there's no incentive to struggle or to do anything if you are a complete and utter monopoly and there's no competition really. In the grand scheme of things, there's no real competition. They can do whatever they want. And so that's kind of the situation. So, I mean, this is an interesting example. If I'm wondering, like, eventually if they do break up some of these behemoths, they're talking about breaking up Facebook and breaking up some different things. What about breaking up YouTube? How weird would it be if YouTube got divided into two pieces? Like, I'm trying to think, how would they break up YouTube? They break it into two pieces, right? And then it's like they have a draft. They basically have a draft for the head of these two companies. Okay, who do you want? We want Logan Paul. Okay, well, we want this guy. We want that guy. We want this guy. You know what I mean? And it would go back and forth, and there would be these two completely different services, these two different websites, and half of all your favorite YouTube people would be over here, and half of your favorite YouTube people would be over there. And it would create these two separate YouTubes, because it's the only thing, man. I mean, it's a monopoly. It's a problem. We've got a serious problem here. Okay, so let's see. What did I want to get to today? So what we're going to talk about, I feel like I've got 2 hours. I can go in any particular direction. One of the things I do want to talk about, let's do a little bit of content here. Let me talk about one of the favorite games that I have been playing. This, of course, is The Walking Dead, Saints and Sinners. I continue to play it. And the interesting thing about this, folks, is if you watch the Twitch episode, I edited some stuff out of the Twitch episode that you could only see if you go to Twitch and you watch that entire thing. I edited some stuff out because there's a certain section where I look like a complete and utter idiot. And yeah, I edited that part out. I really did. I did edit that part out. And where I look like a super idiot is at one point I say, I haven't learned the crafting system yet. I haven't learned how to craft anything. I don't know anything about how to craft anything. And that was true. At the time that I said that, that was true. And a lot of people like Gerillo and Fluke in chat on Twitch were like, what? You don't know the crafting system? It's easy as pie. It's not hard. How could you not learn the crafting system? And then I kind of went Like I felt like I was being attacked. So then I went on the attack and I went on this whole diatribe about how VR has a problem. Like how they onboard you in these different games. There's a problem in how they get you used to the systems in the game. And like if you happen to be looking over here when it's telling you how to use the recycling bin or how to use this alcohol or how to use the crafting table, but you're looking over here or you're looking behind you and then oh, you missed it. There is a bit of this problem, but most of that was an excuse. And so the funny thing is after that episode was over, this is the very last Twitch episode, the last episode I did. After that episode was over, like literally 2 hours after that episode, I got into this game again and totally understood the crafting mechanic, and it was easy as pie. It was incredibly easy. And so I looked like a complete idiot. If you watch that entire episode that I did on Twitch, I look like a complete and utter idiot because I didn't understand the crafting system. Now I understand the crafting system. It's easy as pie. It's simple. It works great. The only issue that you do have with it is I keep going back to the bus. Okay. There might be some minor spoilers. Not like I'm not going to get into story spoilers or anything very specific, but just some of the basic mechanics of The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. Most people, if you're playing this, you're already deep into it. Some people have already finished it. I believe MameFan has finished it. I think Jarillo's finished it. A lot of people have finished this. I'm still working my way through it. I might be like halfway through it. I don't even know. But one of the things you find out is you get this bus, and there's this bus that you have with a radio there, and that's where your crafting tables and stuff are initially. And I find myself going back there on a maybe too frequent basis and taking everything out of my backpack and recycling it into the recycling bin, and then going over to those tables and looking and seeing what can I possibly craft. Now, so far, I haven't been able to craft anything particularly extravagant. I was able to craft a baseball bat, basically a Lucille. I was able to craft a Lucille, so I had a Lucille. I had a two-handed axe. I had a one-handed axe. At one point, I got this thing. It was laying on the ground, but it was like Wolverine-style claws. You basically put your hand in this metal thing, and it's got some Wolverine claws that are coming out of it. And that's really the beauty of this game. This game is a big deal in the entire VR gaming world right now. This game's making news. Did you guys know on IGN, which is probably the biggest gaming website, I mean, they used to be like super, super big. They probably have lost a lot of their flavor over time, but they're still probably one of the biggest gaming websites. They reviewed this game and I believe they gave it like a 9 out of 10 or something like that. This game is getting legit pub. And you know what's interesting about the pub that this game is getting? There's a lot of people that they played Asgards, they played Boneworks, they played Stormland. They were mildly amused by all those games. Now they played The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, and they're like, now this is a real VR game. Nathan in the building, Gamertag VR in the building. And that's another thing. I do seriously want to appreciate all of the guests that I've had over the time I've been doing VR365. I've been a lucky devil with all the guests that I've had. I'm not going to do that right now. We'll talk about the guests later, but I am going to pop another round of PayPal donators. Chris Thompson, Lincoln Clay, Chad White, Brandon Russell, Bernard Coors, Anthony Darby, Matthew McCann, Adam Oliver, Scott Arthur, Crazen Raisin. Dude, do you guys remember Crazen Raisin? Dude was from back in the days. I don't know if he still, or she watches this show ever. James McLofton, I Am Roots, yeah. He donated at one point. Steve Gleed, Martin Bohan. But yeah, I'm going to go back to Walking Dead. But dude, the Walking Dead game, and I posted a thread on the Oculus subreddit asking people, what do you think about The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners? Could this game have competed straight up head to head with Asgard's Wrath, with Boneworks, with Stormland, with Pistol Whip, with Budget Cuts 2, Espire 1, Until You Fall, Westworld Awakening. Could this game have competed with all of the biggest bangers of 2019? And maybe more importantly, would it have been in the Game of the Year discussion? And could it possibly win the Game of the Year discussion? And a lot of people were like, yeah, dude, if this came out in December, this was my Game of the Year. A lot of people said that. If this came out in December, this would have been my Game of the Year over Asgard's. Some people picked this over Asgard. Some people were like, no. Asgard's got way more content. Asgard's got way more content. And you know what? The Asgard's question, like the logical side of my brain says, yeah, Asgard's is such a bigger game. It's doing so much more. There's so much more to it. But we don't want to go to the Golden Corral, do we? I mean, there's this theory of like quantity over quality over quantity. And so sometimes I think these really big behemoth games that last 45 hours, 80 hours, sometimes I think they get extra love just because of the value proposition that they bring to the table. The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, man, like one of the things I was going to say about it before I got distracted is the cool thing about this game. You would think that just stabbing these zombies with various things would get old pretty quickly. But not really, because they give you so many different tools that you can use to cave these zombies' heads in. And then there's like a stealth element. Like I've gotten to the point now where I'm dealing with humans. And when you get to the humans that are there, there's a little bit of a concern with the artificial intelligence of these human characters. It starts to show some of the weakness of The Walking Dead, because the AI of the human characters not the most incredible. Because what you can do, you can kind of game this game if you're willing to kind of be slow and patient and just make sure you get the right headshots at the right time. You can take people out before they have a chance to really do anything. And you can kind of game the artificial intelligence of a lot of these human characters. But it's still, overall, the entire game, the whole package, the crafting, the difference with this game, I'm sorry, I'm kind of all over the place here, but I'm just, different thoughts are popping in my head. But one of the things that a lot of like the more flat gamer people are saying about this game that they haven't noticed with other VR games is it's so effing three-dimensional. This game is very three-dimensional because it's mostly a melee game, and a lot of times you have to push things off of you. You have to use your hands. You have to push stuff off of you. You're jabbing things in their head. And so it's so 3D, and it makes it so more visceral. Nathan in chat says, I think one of the main reasons this game scored so well with IGN and other websites is because of The Walking Dead and the fact that it got covered. That's true. That's another bonus. Like, we are thankful. Ladies and gentlemen, we're thankful that this is The Walking Dead. Like, dude, The Walking Dead. I mean, it's got an effing name. And so this is starting to break out into the mainstream because of the Walking Dead factor. And there's so many people that are fans of the TV show. And it's almost like a group think, and a hive mind. Like, even if you didn't want to be a fan of the Walking Dead comic book or the Walking Dead TV show, like even if you really weren't into it, there's so much love for this that some people are fans, and they're not, like, I don't even know if they're true fans, but it's the groupthink, it's the hive mind. And this is going to break out into the mainstream because people are going to be like, yeah, but the Walking Dead VR game. There's a Walking Dead VR game, and it's so visceral. I mean, you're really stabbing these zombies. You're really doing it. Nathan says, most games have no famous IP attached to them. This one did it with its telltale kind of art style. Yeah, kind of Borderlands 2, but not Technicolor. Very subdued colors with the graphics. Oh, one of the things I was going to mention from the graphical standpoint of The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners is as you get a little bit further into the game, I've gotten into these completely different neighborhoods, and there's a little more sun. There's a little more sunshine that is peeking through the clouds in the world of New Orleans, that I'm exploring. So it's not as ridiculously overcast and dreary as it is in every location. So I've gotten a little bit further, where I'm dealing with like these factions, the different factions of the humans, and that's kind of where I've gotten to at this point. Dealing with the radio guy. So I want to say a quick thing about the radio guy, right? Like when you get to the bus and you're dealing with this guy on the radio. So minor spoilers with the radio thing. I'm not really going to get into the actual story that's going on here, but I'll just say, listening to the radio guy, like it's good voiceover work that happens with that whole thing. But I'm listening to the guy say all of his different things. And you do have those dialogue choices. And that's cool. Like, that is cool. It adds another element. I think that's one of the extra little factors about The Walking Dead. So many little things come together right in this game. And so actually having dialogue choices is kind of cool, even if it's a bit arbitrary, binary, and doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things anyway. But this guy that's talking to you, his voiceover, I'm just listening to the way he's talking about everything. There is no effing way I would have trusted this guy ever. I would have been gone in 5 minutes. He sounds so sketchy. He sounds like he's scamming, like it's a complete and utter scam. I would have never believed this guy. So the story kind of falls apart a little bit for me because I would have never even entertained this guy more. Just the way his entire conversation was going, no. I would have backed away immediately. But it's a game. You got to follow it. It's cool. I mean, I'm really enjoying it. It's a wonderful game. A lot of people are beating this game. They're finally getting through it. There's some discussion on like how long does it take and everything. Is it a little bit overrated? We're going to have these discussions back and forth all day long. Okay, so one of the things I did want to do really quick is, let me get my webinar up and running. And, there is some news. I wanted to maybe cover just a little bit of news that's going on in the industry really quick here. Let me see if I can find it, because there is a news story that I thought was interesting. It was, of course, now that I'm looking for it, I don't see it. But the news story was, it's Jesse Shell, I believe, the main guy of Shell Games. And he pretty much was talking about, that's weird that this story is no longer here. Yeah, let me try Road to VR real quick. Maybe it's over here. Road to VR. There's a lot of talk. I mean, there has been a lot of talk about, and I'm not seeing it over here either. Man, it's the one story I wanted to talk about, and now I can't even find it. Okay, hold on. I'll just do a quick Google search. So Jesse Shell, he's talking about the Oculus Quest. Jesse Shell, Oculus Quest. And okay, yeah, if Oculus Quest can't succeed, we might as well just give the F up now. So let's go ahead. I'm going to switch over to webinator.com. Okay, so we're over here, folks. We are on the webinar. Now, this is one of the big stories that I did see out there that I thought, you know what? This is actually worth talking about. This is an interesting comment that was made by a guy that kind of knows what he's talking about. Do we agree with this? Do we not agree with this? Kind of interesting. Okay, so Jesse Shell, this guy is the CEO of Shell Games. Now, what has Shell Games done? They did I Expect You to Die, which has had a lot of success, but it took a lot of time. And it's been on sale 1 billion times. I mean, how many times has I Expect You to Die gone on sale? Seriously, has it been 107 different times it's gone on sale? I honestly would not be shocked at all. But anyway, they did I Expect You to Die. They did Water Bears VR. Water Bears VR. Don't sleep on Water Bears. They did Until You Fall. So they got some chops, right? And so one of the things, let's go ahead and see what quote this guy has, Jesse Shell. He says, the main thing that we're staring at is how is the Quest going to do, Shell said. I'll just be blunt. If the Quest can't succeed, we should just all hang it up. That's pretty harsh. She's saying if the Quest isn't basically a runaway hit, then freaking give up the ghost, ladies and gentlemen. VR is not going to be a dominating factor. Do you agree with this? It's an interesting point. He says you're talking about a price point competitive with consoles, excellent tracking, wireless. If this isn't enough to take VR mainstream, VR will never go mainstream, and we should probably just all move on and do something else. And then that said, we're big believers that this is the time this is going to happen. 2020 is going to be a real proving year. So this is a pretty interesting comment, to be sure. Jesse Shell, let's see. I'm going to do an image search because there's probably a picture of this guy, Jesse Shell, the CEO. Maybe it's this guy right here. I don't know. Yeah, this is the guy, Jesse Shell right here. Oops, I didn't want to do that. But yeah, so Jesse Shell, this is the main guy for Shell Games. These are all freaking YouTube videos, and I don't want to do a YouTube video. But anyway, that's the guy we're talking about. I Expect You to Die is, of course, one of their games. Until You Fall, Water Bears VR. And he's basically saying that if the Oculus Quest is not successful, forget about it. Forget about everything. Do I have an Oculus Quest trailer in this building? Hold on one second. I was going to try to grab a trailer real quick. And not looking for a specific Oculus Quest trailer. Whatever. I'll just put on this Path of the Warrior trailer. But yeah, so that's the question. If the Quest is not successful, should VR just give it up completely? I think that's a little bit harsh. And you know what? I'm going to go back to what I said when I was in the interview with Alex from Virtual Insider. When I was talking with Alex from Virtual Insider, one of the things he was talking about is he believes that VR has reached this baseline level, that we've reached this baseline level. I don't think we have. Now, I think the Oculus Quest is as close as we've come to that. You can buy an Oculus Quest for $399.99 if it was in stock and available. It is selling well. It's definitely a hit. There was $5 million of sales on the Oculus Quest store on Christmas Day. It sold very well. Super Data believes they've sold 750,000, like 750 something thousand, I believe, is the estimate Super Data has. Oculus Quest has had a successful launch, no question about that. And it does have good tracking. It has good controllers. I think the games are pretty damn good, but I don't know. I don't think I agree with Jesse Shell because he's saying if the Oculus Quest is not successful, it's never going to happen. I don't agree with that because I believe VR is unstoppable. It's an unstoppable force. Even if nothing is successful for the next 10 years, even if VR does not break into the mainstream for the next 10 years, it's 2020. Even if we're sitting here and it's like 2031, it's 2031 and VR still hasn't broken into the mainstream. It's like 11 years later. Even if that is the reality, VR is still eventually going to be successful. It's simply unstoppable. There's just no way you're going to stop it. Eventually, we're going to get to the full FOV. We're going to get to photorealism. We're going to have our bodies in the game. We're going to have gloves. We're going to have tactile feedback. It's going to be so freaking compelling. It's impossible. It's simply impossible for VR to fail. It is simply impossible. The only way VR could possibly fail is some other technology being even better, coming out of the blue, coming out of nowhere to knock VR off. And I don't think in the next 50-something years that something else could come along. So I actually disagree with Jesse Shell. I do not believe that is true. I do not believe that. I'm sorry, I disagree. I understand the point that he's making. I definitely understand that, but I don't exactly agree on what he's talking about. Okay, so let me go ahead and grab some Patreon supporters. I do want to thank some of course, my Patreon supporters that have been supporting our show. This could, oh wait, that's PayPal. Hold on one second. Let me grab this. Those are our PayPal donators, and let's see, Patreon supporters. Let's grab this one. Special thanks to the Patreon supporters of VR365, Gary R. Haylock, Recycled, Jose G. Rodriguez Gonzalez, Wes Osborne, Anthony Mann, Kev Gret, John, Zayla Maru, Sean Dowling, Stephen Charman, Shirzad Y, Sergio Landa Garcia, and Jake Dog 69. Okay, let me go ahead and see what some folks are talking about in chat real quick. Kev Gret says when PSVR 2 comes out, he will say the same thing. Let's see, Scion VR. Oh, he'll say the same thing, that if that doesn't succeed. Scion VR says Quest is a concern because it cannot run most AAA games. Quest 2 could change that though. Well, Quest Killer could change that, and the Quest 2 may be a Quest Killer. It may be a strain of the Quest Killer featuring an XR2. You know, it's interesting you bring up that point though, Scion, about Quest being a concern. Let's go to the Webinator. And I want to go to VR Game Rankings real quick, and let's look at the top 60 most wanted Oculus Quest games for a quick second here, because we recently updated this. This is updated as of January 29th. The most wanted Oculus Quest games that are floating around out there. And you know what? For the longest time, Project 4 by Stress Level Zero, which is basically a special Boneworks created for the Oculus Quest. Doesn't have a name yet. Boneworks Jr.? I like it. Boneworks Jr., baby. I really like it. Come on, Stress Level Zero. Call it Boneworks Jr. That would be awesome. But Project 4 was #1 most wanted VR game for the Quest. Echo VR was #2. Population 1 was #3. It was like this for a long time, but right now, The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners is #1 with a bullet. And Scion, you bring up an interesting point about the Quest handling AAA games, because what the hell is this going to be like on the Oculus Quest? How are they going to take this game and squeeze it down onto the Oculus Quest? This is coming to the Oculus Quest. A lot of people are super excited about it. Now, tentatively scheduled for third quarter 2020. Honestly, I think if it's out prior to Christmas, everybody celebrate. I don't think it's going to make the third quarter. I think it's going to be in the fourth quarter. But yeah, it's going to be super freaking interesting to see how do you water down that kind of game. Now, one of the nice aspects, though, of The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners on an Oculus Quest is just how three-dimensional this game is. And you don't really have like proper room scale. Like, that's one of the bugaboos of The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, is I don't feel like there's legit room scale. But maybe when it comes to the Quest, they will create some legit room scale where you can really get a big play area, and you're getting visceral with it. You're swinging the axes and the baseball bats, and you're knifing the shit out of the zombies. Now, the numbers of polygons that are going to be used for the zombies are going to be scaled way the hell back. Everything is going to be scaled back. The numbers of zombies are going to be scaled back. Luckily, it does have this kind of cartoonish, art style. They'll lean into that even more and make it even more cartoony. But man, that's going to be an interesting question, Scion. And that's why I'm not willing to go down the road that Jesse Shell is talking about. I'm not willing to go down that road and saying that the Quest is a make or break product, because maybe you're right. Maybe the Snapdragon 835, maybe it just isn't quite up to par, and maybe it just doesn't have enough power. Now, the thing is, it does have enough power for soccer moms and Joe Sixpacks. It has enough power for soccer moms and Joe Sixpacks. And honestly, that's what mainstream is all about, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen? Isn't it all about the soccer moms and the Joe Sixpacks? Johnny Walmart, Sally Coles, I don't know what to call her, but it's the everyday soil of the earth Americans. They love BOGO, ladies and gentlemen. They love BOGO. Audica has arrived on the Quest. They've got Beat Saber. They've got Super Hot. They've got a lot of games on the Quest. Pistol Whip, the Quest, Vader, lots of good stuff on the Quest. So it might be able to break into the mainstream. It's interesting, though, that Jesse Shell thinks that this $399 item, I don't know that the price is quite there. I think it needs to drop about $100. Back to, Nathan says, just look at the Facebook Horizons trailer and you know what the target audience is. Well, the thing about that, though, Nathan, you bring up an interesting point, and that almost makes me think of Quest Killer. Because what was in the news recently, actually, let's go back to the Webinator. Hold on a second. Let's go back to the Webinator. Because, speaking of mass market, let's go to Road to VR. Because one of the things I was seeing in Road to VR is this. Yeah, this is an interesting story, ladies and gentlemen. There is some long-term stuff that is brewing in the background. Game-changing type stuff that is brewing in the background. Nathan is talking about the target market. You look at the Facebook Horizons trailer, and it's definitely the soccer moms. It's definitely the Joe Sixpacks. And quite honestly, it's like a lot of non-gamers. So they've got to appeal to a lot of non-gamers. And there is a way to appeal to a lot of non-gamers, and that's with some incredible video content that might only be possible with 5G. Now look, I know we've joked about 5G forever. But one of the things that Amazon is doing, Amazon Web Services, AWS, they are promising single-digit millisecond latencies over 5G networks, like in the single digits, edge computing. And one of the key products that they're talking about with this is basically AR and VR applications. In the beginning, AR and VR is going to be able to use this 5G stuff more than anybody else. And so do you remember that one CES when Intel was talking about, what was it? Was it, what were they? Voxels or whatever? The world is voxels, or I forget what it was, whatever they were talking about, right? Intel had this gigantic stage, and they're basically going to film all this stuff and make it all 3D. So the video is just going to be like going all around you, the freaking light field. All that shit is going to be possible with 5G. And I did see this story, and I do believe that this is like brewing in the background, but it's not ready for prime time. In fact, it probably isn't going to be ready for like 6 years. But it's going to be game-changing when it is ready. So don't forget about that. That is very interesting. It's something to think about. Okay, let's go back over here. So, one of the things I thought about, actually, why don't we do this? Because I got to remember to do all the key things that I want to do before I bounce out of here. And one of the key things I did want to do is I wanted to thank all the guests that have come along the VR365 ride. And I made a little montage. Now, this is going to go by really fast. It's going to be hard for me to comment on everybody. But I'm going to try to throw out a quick comment about everybody in this thing, and it can repeat and I can do it again. But these are all the guests. Not all of them. Actually, a few of them are missing. Like, not everybody is on this list. I tried to get everybody. I couldn't find the thumbnail images for every little interview that I had, but these are most of the interviews that I've had this year. Let's go ahead and check this out. Okay, so starting off, Reckoner VR. I do want to thank Gary, VR Roundtable. Like, without Gary, VR Roundtable would have never happened. Steve Bishop, the freaking producer extraordinaire. Chris, VR Roundtable. So really want to thank all the VR Roundtable guys. I interviewed all of them separately. Noah. Do you remember Noah, Mr. Magic Leap? Remember the old days when I interviewed Noah? Jay Pace, Mr. Tesla. Dude, do you have Tesla stock? I hope you do. There is Shantomio. Shantomio, interviewed him voice only, and then got him on the webcam. He recently got a Quest and is doing some PC stuff. Chris Richardson. How many times did I have Chris Richardson on the show? Gaming science teacher, one of our best guests. Really appreciate that. That is Arrowin X. My good buddy Arrowin X, Valve Index hater. Not hater. Okay, that is an image from when I interviewed Conrad Lawrence. That is Alex from Play PSVR. The Play PSVR podcast, they're back. There's your boy Nathy. Yes, I did interview Nathy a couple of different times. Had him on the show several different times. We did talk about the Quest Killer. That image right there is for Stonepunk Studios. Remember Jay from Stonepunk Studios? Rendered Reality. Had those boys on, of course, the Rendered Reality boys. Wes from Virtual Strangers. Interviewed Wes. That was a good one. Bobby Mofo Black Wolf. Bobby Mofo Black Wolf. I Am Roots. We had I Am Roots from Virtual Strangers. We had him on the show. Cass and Cherry. How cool of a conversation was that? That was a cool two lovely ladies, right? Philly G. Phil Yarn in the building. We had Phil Yarn on the show. Simplex PL live from Poland. He was such a cool interview, you know. Had some good interviews. We had some technical issues of zooming in on him. Steve Drumheller, Conquer Reality Fame. Your boy, Steve. I thought he was a natural. Hasn't done a whole hell of a lot on YouTube. Steve, what's going on? Tyler, Schmitty in the building. Zimtalk 5. That was a really cool interview, my boy Zimtalk 5. I'd love to interview him again. Now, Sebastian. I've had Sebastian on the show a number of times. There's been a number of different interviews. I even have other thumbnail images for other interviews we had. Gamertag VR. We had him on the show. That was an alternate thumbnail that I didn't end up using. That is the one that I am using. Gamertag VR on the show. Lincoln Clay. Lincoln Clay was on the show. Had him on an interview as well. Tyrell Wood, had him on the show. That was an incredible interview. It worked so well. And then, of course, one of the most recent interviews, Alex from Virtual Insider. And check this out, guys. That's Jeremy Williams. I just missed having Jeremy Williams as a guest. I was so close, so incredibly close to having Jeremy Williams as a guest on the show. I made a thumbnail. That's how close I was to having him on the show. Unfortunately, scheduling problems didn't end up happening, but was that close to having Jeremy Williams on the show. So, I mean, all the different guests I've had, they've all been awesome. First of all, I want to thank Gary. I want to thank Gary first and foremost because I was doing a podcast. It was called The Vivecast, and we had 10 episodes. I think there's only one episode of it that you can find out there. But I was doing a podcast. I did 10 episodes. And on episode 10, Gary came on the show. And me and Gary did an episode. This is an audio only episode that me and Gary did. And after that, I was like, F doing all this editing. Because at the time, I was a nut job with the editing. I was trying to edit out every little imperfection in the audio. Like loud breathing noises, weird lip smacking noises, everything. I tried to edit all that crap out. And basically, I went to Gary and I said, Gary, hey, we just did this episode 10. I said, what do you think about doing it on YouTube in a video and doing it live? And he's like, why do you want to do that? And I'm like, because no editing. There's no editing. If we do a live show, there's no editing. No editing with a live show. And that's how this whole thing began. And I started off as one of the people on VR Roundtable. It was me and Gary. Then after a while, we added Steve. And then a little bit later, we added Chris. And then that was VR Roundtable. And then at the same time that was going on, I started VR Game Rankings, the website. And then it was like October of 2017 is when I started doing YouTube as the VR Game Rankings YouTube channel. Yeah, I've got 2 different YouTube channels, folks. I tried the channel switching thing. It didn't work. I tried a lot of shit. But yeah, I've done a lot of episodes, had a lot of great guests. I will miss this aspect of the show most. There could probably be a separate show where all I do is interview people. Like all I do is just try to find good interviews and do good interviews and nothing else. And that would be a cool show. And there's, I missed out on interviewing some people. Okay, so Jeremy Williams, I was like an inch away from interviewing Jeremy Williams. I missed out on that. And then I was incredibly close. Well, no. I never got a chance to interview Mike from Virtual Reality Oasis. Never got around to interviewing Mike, Rowdy Guy, all kinds of people. There's all kinds of people. I kind of wanted to review Ben from Road to VR, Ben Lang. I shot out an email to him and stuff like that. So many different people I would have liked to have interviewed. So anyway, but I do thank all the people that I did interview. It was freaking incredible. All those shows were really incredible, and it was some of the best stuff that I did, I think. I think it was some of the funnest stuff I did. Okay, so let's see. What did we want to do now? All right, well, why don't I'm basically just going to be bouncing around from different things at this point. Let's see. Let's go ahead. Yeah, so many of these people that I interviewed deserve to be interviewed second times, third times, like Zim Talk. A lot of these interviews, there should have been multiple interviews. But I wanted to go back to VRGameRankings.com. I thought I could briefly just kind of talk to you guys about the upcoming games that are out there and just kind of give you my thoughts on the biggest upcoming games that are out there. Because you know what? Ultimately, I'm more of a gamer than I am the hardware guy. I like the hardware aspect of it. I like talking about the hardware aspect of it. I like talking about the business aspect of it with these different companies that are competing and kind of the long-term ramifications of the Quest killer, Qualcomm, Intel, Nvidia, all the corporations that are behind the scenes. I like that as well. And then I love the effing games. And, it's upcoming games that we're most hyped about. Alex, Medal of Honor, Lone Echo 2, After the Fall, Population 1, Vertigo 2, Firmament, The Wizards Dark Times, Walking Dead Onslaught, Sniper Elite. Just all these games. We want all these games. Alex is coming soon. How crazy is that? We are literally a couple of days from February. It may be less than 40 days or 45 days. Within 45 days, we might have our hands on Half-Life Alyx. How fucking awesome is that going to be? Okay, Lone Echo 2. Dude, everybody forgot about Lone Echo 2. Ready at Dawn hasn't forgot about Lone Echo 2. So that one is still waiting in the wings. I am hyped up for After the Fall. A lot of people aren't that hyped on it. They look at Arizona Sunshine, and one of the biggest criticisms about Arizona Sunshine, well, just look at The Walking Dead. Dude, The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners has taken zombie games to an entirely new level. And actually, one of the questions that we could pose is, does this change everything? After the Fall, if we get After the Fall, and it's just Arizona combined with Arctica 1, that's probably not going to be good enough in a post Walking Dead Saints and Sinners world. The Virtual Strangers talks about the Asgard's effect, the Boneworks effect, the Stormland effect, the Pistol Whip effect, Asgard's Wrath, all the greatest games that came out last year, right? Walking Dead Saints and Sinners is added on to that, and it is it's a big problem because a lot of these games just might not live up to the hype. Other games we're excited about: Undead Citadel, Blunt Force, Lo-Fi, Solaris, Pixelrip 1995 looking better and better. Lawn looks really good. Phantom Covert Ops, Panther. So many games. So, there's a lot of games that are on the way. Soulkeeper Chronicles looks good. We've got Redemption's Guild, Eye of the Temple. So many freaking games are coming. So we got a lot of great games that are coming. That's good news. Let's bounce back over here. Let's see. What else was I going to get into? Oh, Nathan says, what about Rhythm of the Universe, AVR, and Blunt Force? What about them? I'll tell you all about them, folks. Okay, so Rhythm of the Universe, Nathan, you got to go deep. We rank Rhythm of the Universe number 52, bro. Number 52. So you got to go pretty far. Abe is up there at 48. It's kind of by Project Wingman and Silicon Rising and Xenociders and Cradle of Sins. We rank 100 VR games. In fact, we just updated this recently. And one thing I would say to anybody is if you want to check this out, what is the biggest VR game that we don't have on this list? We've ranked 100. I mean, we've got stuff like Iron Guard VR, Thunderballs, Bizarre Barber, Sniper's Ground, Trench Run, Warp League Basketball, Pieces of 8, Iron Ascension, The Wake Car Mechanics Simulator, Raiders of Urda. Some of these games have been missing for like 3 years. Terminus, Crisis VR 2, Prison Simulator. I mean, dude, it's deep. It's deeper than Atlantis. Deadness, Dreamback VR, DeMagnet, Beast Shall Rise, Ascend, Crunch Element, which of course just got its Kickstarter right there. They're fully funded on their Kickstarter. Iron Lights by E. McNeil, Space Team. I've ranked 100 games, and honestly, there's like another 35 games that could have ranked. No, I don't have House Flipper VR. House Flipper VR did not make the cut. Did not make the cut. I'm sorry, they just did not make the cut. All right, anyway, let's go back over here. I was thinking one of the things I could do, folks, is kind of cover some of the different gaming companies out there. Let's see. I need to thank some more PayPal donators, though. Let me go to page 3 of PayPal donators. Let's do this real quick. Raymond Delatorre, Jarillo, Mr. PM Smith, Phil Yarn, yes, he has donated via PayPal, Raphael Micah, Jermaine Harris, Jan Red, JP, Hans Jurgen Woolwich, Martin Winnickel, Paolo Triani, a long time ago donated some money before I knew he was a YouTuber extraordinaire, before he was famous, way before he was famous. Paolo Triani, Sergio Garcia, Caleb Law, Chris Bell. So a whole lot of PayPal donators. Thank you so much for that. But one of the things I thought I might talk about in this like do whatever I want episode is maybe I could talk about like the state of VR. Like where are we at right now in terms of, I'm looking for something to throw on in the background here. I'll just throw on some Dick Wild too. I know you guys love that so much. Like some state of VR stuff. Like actually, you know what? Actually, I take that back. Hold on. Let me find something else. I could talk about the topic that I was talking about the other day. Let's see if I can find it here. Let's see. Yeah, it's in here. Okay, so I was going to do this in like interviews with everybody out there, and I got into this a little bit when I was talking with Alex from Virtual Insider. But this idea of next gen VR, I'm excited about next gen VR. I really am, because honestly, I've been using my CV1, bro. I'm CV1 all the time with Saints and Sinners. My Valve Index has been disconnected. My Valve Index is disconnected right now as we speak. It's not hooked up to the computer and hasn't been hooked up for probably like 7 days because I'm all Saints and Sinners. That's all I play. And I honestly feel like it's better in my CV1 just because F the glare. I just don't want glare in that game. So I'm CV1 in it. What does that tell you, ladies and gentlemen? That tells you that the Valve Index is not up to snuff. I'm sorry about it. It's not up to snuff. You might love your Valve Index, and I'm sure you do. There's a lot of you that love your Valve Index, but it isn't up to snuff. We're not there yet. I still want another headset. Now, what is the most important thing? Well, I talked about this with Alex on that Twitch episode, Field of View. I really think field of view is the single most important component of all of them, because if we could have maximum field of view, 220 degrees, I think it would be such an incredible game changer, because it would really throw that world. I mean, what do we talk about when we talk about VR? You're in the game. You're literally in the video game, man. You know, that's what we all talk about. It's like VR. You're in the game. It's in the game. You know, Electronic Arts. It's in the game. You're in the game. That's what we talk about with VR. But with the field of view, the way it is right now, we're not really in the game. We're kind of seeing the game pretty good, but we're not really in the game. I think we give us this extra field of view. I think just the entire presence factor is going to go up immeasurably. Now, there are issues with field of view, of course. There are issues with it because you expand the field of view. Now it's much more easy to get somebody motion sick, because your brain is getting that much more information that tells you you're moving, but you're not moving. Limited field of view is actually helping the motion sickness problem. So that's a factor there. And then there's just the amount of all the pixels that got to be filled and the computational requirements of a giant field of view. So definitely dynamic foveated rendering and eye tracking is mandatory. Another key thing that I really want, and I harp on this more than anyone out there, and I'm going to continue to harp on this until somebody finally steps up to the plate and freaking does it. And I'm talking about full body tracking, baby. We've got to get our bodies into the game. Those are the two things. It's full FOV and our bodies. Like I was saying to Alex, I was talking about holoception. I kept saying hollow point, but I meant holoception. When you think about holoception, think of how simple the graphics are. They're little stick figure guys. It's like a white background. It's like a laboratory kind of background with little stick figure guys running around. I honestly would like our games to go back to the Stone Ages. If that's what needs to happen, let's make our games incredibly simplistic. Let's make the worlds incredibly simplistic. Block houses, block cars, like a Minecraftian world almost, but let's give us maximum FOV and let's put our physical bodies in the freaking game. That is the key. I'm giving away the freaking goods. I'm giving away all the goods. Facebook, HTC Vive, anybody out there, do you want to win in the VR world? Then give maximum field of view and put our bodies into the game because it's immersion. Immersion is going to win this war. If whoever immerses us the most, whatever we feel, whoever has a platform where it's like, fuck, I feel like I'm there, man. And you're going to feel like you're there because of that 220 degree FOV and the real-time body tracking that is going to put you into the game. And I believe the technology is within the realm of possibility of this happening because body tracking, think about it. You could have some cameras that are aimed down. Now, they know exactly where your head is. They know exactly where your arms are. And they're looking down at your torso. And I would believe that through inverse kinematics and skeletal tracking, they should be able to infer where your shoulders are, where your elbows are, and it should be dynamic. And then in addition to all of that, the technology is there to kind of analyze the background and eliminate the background. So think, how cool would this be, folks, if you could be in any VR game? Now, I know a lot of people will say, but I don't want to be me. I don't want to be me in VR. I want to be somebody else in VR. I'm trying to get away from who I am. Okay, that's fine, but you also want to be you. At some point, you do want to be you in VR. And here's where you want to be. Okay, so what am I talking about here? You have these cameras going down, and what it does is it's looking at your torso and everything, and it takes everything out of it almost like a green screening effect. So if you actually want your shirt and your pants, it can track your feet. It's got cameras. It's seeing your feet. It's seeing your feet. So now we can have a soccer game in VR. I'm telling you, it's all about FOV and real-time body tracking. A lot of this other shit can fucking hit the road, Jack. It's not about resolution. It's not about advanced avatars. I mean, a lot of this stuff is key. And like the built-in 5G modem, that's going to be important in the future. You know, we're missing a couple of things off this list. We're missing varifocal lenses, but I think that's too effing complicated. It's going to cost too much money. Moving parts, they're going to break. I say years from now, worry about varifocal lenses. Don't worry about varifocal lenses right now. We ain't ready for that right now. Your manufacturing is not ready for that right now. I don't believe, okay? It's something to look towards to the future, but I'm not really worried about varifocal lenses. The one major thing we are missing off of this list, though, that really should be on this list, it's kind of part of next-gen AR pass-through, but it's a little bit different. And what I'm talking about is, it was in the Qualcomm thing. Let me see if I can find some of that Quest Killer stuff that I had. Hold on one second. It has a little bit to do with the Quest Killer. Let's see, Qualcomm pick montage. Let's try this. Might have been in this one. It's some of the different features of the Qualcomm XR2. Let me see if it's on here, because one of it is like scene recognition and understanding. And what that basically means is it's using all of its external cameras to understand where your chairs are, where your tables are, where that rug is, where the door is, where the window is. It's basically understanding. Okay, so it's one of these things here. Let me see. It's going to be on one of these pictures. Here it is. Oh no, that's the GPU performance. This is the XR2. Okay, here it is. It's 3D reconstruction, scene understanding. 3D reconstruction and scene understanding. I believe that is going to be a game changer long-term game changer, in my opinion, for VR. And it's going to be one of these differentiating factors where if you have a headset that has the reconstruction, the scene understanding, it's taking your walls and it's like, boom, there's wall, there's a sofa, there's a couch. Remember that one video that one guy had that was on the Oculus subreddit where it was showing his real apartment and then it was showing it like on the Oculus Quest at the same time, and he was walking around and sitting down on a chair? That's basically what we're talking about, folks, but we're talking about a headset being able to do it without needing to do some special photogrammetry and analyzing everything. It's just going to be able to do it. You're just going to put it on and it's going to have an understanding. Now that's going to require machine learning. It's going to require neural networks. Facebook is working on this too. It's what's called live maps. This is what Facebook talked about as far as live maps. That is one of the most important technologies that's going to happen. And I'm going to explain to you guys why it is so effing important. But hold on, let me get this trailer off here. One of the reasons it's so effing important, I was thinking about this very, very recently. Let's see. I don't know. I'm just going to throw on this thing here. I was thinking about this very, very recently. Like, I was thinking about some of the problems that VR has. One of the problems that VR has is, I think of my son, okay, my 15-year-old son. He's got a bedroom, right? But VR wouldn't really work for him. If he got a Quest for Christmas, he would have to go use it somewhere else. He can't use it in his bedroom, because if he goes into his bedroom, his bed is here, his like computer with computer chair and Xbox and stuff like that, that's all over there. His dresser's over here. He's got a little lizard aquarium thing. And basically there is no room scale in his room. There's no place for him to play VR. But if we had this like super advanced headset that you bring it in there and then it knows your bed, it knows the chair, it knows the table, it understands where monitors are, then it can kind of be like, okay, well, I'm understanding what this situation is. And so the kid could sit on his bed and kind of play games. And as he gets close to bumping into his bed, then the bed magically starts to form and appear. So there's going to be ways around this. We've got to figure all these things out. There's people that are in small ass rooms. They don't have the space for it. This is a real problem for VR. Like, VR is never going to take off and be 100% mainstream if everybody needs to have an effing man cave, because not everybody is going to have a man cave. So you're going to need to have VR headsets that have an understanding of the surroundings, and more than just the ceiling, the floor, and the walls. It's going to have to be able to recognize chairs, dogs, cats, tables, coffee tables, dressers, beds, windows, clothes that are scattered. It's going to have to learn. It's going to have to start to freaking learn and recognize, and anyway, it's just something I thought about, and I think it is a key factor for the future of VR long term. But let's go ahead and get off of this. Let's see, what can we get into now? Yeah, see, I didn't prepare anything in advance. I thought I could just bounce around and cover some different stories or just talk about the industry. Actually, right now, why don't we go ahead and let me put on another one of my thank you things, because I got some more people I got to thank. So let me go ahead and do that, and then I could also take a quick look at chat. So here's some other Patreon supporters. I did want to thank pretty much everybody that's in the Patreon right about now. Jesse Benson, thank you so much. JP, Eckerd Klatt, Krylik, James Jacob, Harry Skiggis, Robert Sterenchak, JB, Craig Rushforth, Anthony Burdick, Anthony L. Mai, Elevated, I can never do this one. Elevidity, maybe Elevidity. MKH42, Lee Tobin, Zhelong Ma. I don't know how to pronounce that either. I'm butchering it, I'm sure. I'm going to say Zhelong Ma, Everett. Those are some Patreon supporters, and I definitely appreciate your support. Since I've had this Patreon. Oh, one thing I'll say about the Patreon for everybody out there, if you are a Patreon supporter, so after this show is over, I'm going to bounce over to Patreon, and I'm suspending my Patreon for the month of March. All right. So my Patreon for the month of March, for the month of February, timeout. There's no Patreon for the month of February. So you're not going to be charged for the month of February. Now for the month of March, I don't know if I'm going to become the VR Game Rankings Patreon, and it's going to be website only. It might, and I know 99% of everybody will bounce, and that's fine. It's totally understandable. But I might switch it to website only. If somehow I'm able to make some kind of progress with this YouTube thing, then maybe I can restart it up as it was normally. But basically, February, don't worry about it. I'm not charging anybody in February. And way before I make a change in March, I'll try to let people know ahead of time. And so don't worry about it. If you're a Patreon supporter, or, if you just want to bounce right away, you can do that, whatever. It's all good. There's no, it's all gracious. I mean, it is what it is. Let's thank some more PayPal donators real quick. Paul Bellino, Christian Olson. Both Paul Bellino and Christian Olson both had recent donations very recently. Absolutely appreciate that. Also, Paul Bellino and Christian Olson, if you want me to refund your donations, I can do that for you, because both of these donations came with lengthy pleas of please, no, don't go away. You can figure this out. But I'm past it. I'm past it already, man. If I'm not monetized, I'm just not back on YouTube. It's that's it. It's just, there's a line that has been drawn in the sand. I know YouTube doesn't care. I know that. And I may never come back to YouTube. It just is what it is. It is what it is. What can I say? Barry Davis, Chris Thompson, Paul Slavich, Aaron Williams, Sheila Hausgo, Mr. R.L. Tung, Dennis Laurent DeSwartz, Robert Mathewitz, Isaac Furbush Bear, Fee Lee, James Bergen, and Kent Oster. Thank you to everybody that has PayPal donated. Also, thanks to the people that have done Twitch Prime, Twitch Prime subs, or any of the stuff that is over there on Twitch, twitching it up. I really appreciate that. One subject I can get into, what about my game of the year, ladies and gentlemen? I never got through all of the game of the year stuff. How freaking whacked is that? I really wanted to get through all of the game of the year stuff. What is my game of the year? What is my game of the year? Okay, so honestly, guys, check this out. What is my game of the year? The truth is, I don't have a game of the year for 2019. This is a cop-out. This is basically a cop-out. I didn't get to the point of finally determining what my game of the year is. But I know this is a real cop-out. But in a way, I kind of want to say it's like a four-way tie. Boneworks, Westworld, Asgard's Wrath, Stormland. I kind of want to say it's a 4-way tie. And I know that's a cop-out. But honestly, I cannot pick one of those 4. Like, pure logic says Asgard's Wrath. Pure logic says, Anthony, you've shortchanged Asgard's Wrath simply because it is so freaking long and is so in-depth, and it's such a demanding thing. You've kind of avoided it because it doesn't really fit your life right now, because you're trying, now it might fit my life, but it didn't fit my life before. And so Asgard's kind of got boned. And the logic part of my brain says Asgard's is game of the year. Now the heart says this one, baby. The heart says Westworld. My heart says Westworld. They killed it. I love this game so much. The thing that makes it so hard for me to call Westworld Game of the Year, the thing that really makes it hard for me is, first of all, Chapter 1 I thought was lame. So it starts out with it's got a bad beginning in my opinion. Chapter 2 is where Sweeve Ivor's in the building. Holy shit, Sweeve Ivor. Sweeve Ivor says, hey Anthony, sad to hear you are taking a break. Used to watch your show whenever I had time, although I'm not so active in the comments. Oh, what's up, Sweeve Ivor, my boy? That's cool. Yeah, I'm not really taking a break. I don't know what kind of break this is. It might be a very extended break. We'll have to see. But yeah, I mean, honestly, there's 4 games. There's 4 games. And Boneworks, don't forget about Boneworks, man. Don't forget about Boneworks. I feel like Boneworks just does not get the love that it deserves. I don't know what it is, but I can't force anybody to like something that they don't like. But it's weird how Boneworks is so what do they call it? I mean, it's so polarizing, people on each side of it, and then Stormland, incredible. So basically, bottom line is there's 4 different games that I'm thinking about for Game of the Year. Couldn't pick one, and it's a cop-out. And I can tell you that if Walking Dead Saints and Sinners was a December release, that would probably be my Game of the Year. But yeah, I never did finish the Game of the Year discussion, so that kind of sucks. Let's see here. Okay, now what we could do is Eric Hartley. Eric Hartley, yeah. So there's all kinds of people in chat. Maybe I should check out chat for a minute. Maybe I should actually do that. Phil Yarn says it's interview time. Yeah, Sweeve Ivor says, I hope it's a break only. Well, it's a YouTube thing, man. What would you guys do? What would you do if you were in my situation? Like, I've done it for so long without monetization, and people will say, nah, I don't want to get into it. I don't want to talk about it. Never mind. I don't want to talk about it. Okay, one thing I thought we could do is, why don't we go to the Webinator, and I'll take a look at some last-minute stories and stuff. Let's see what's going on in the VR world. Are there any other news topics, anything I should trip on? We haven't had too many, like, game announcements and stuff. There is the GTA Grand Theft Auto 5 VR mod that a lot of people are raving about it and talking about that. I have not got into that. I'm not messing with that right now. Right now, the only thing I can think of, honestly, when it comes to VR games is The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. So I pretty much just keep banging my way through that game. One thing that we did hear about in the news is that on PlayStation Plus in February, Firewall 0 Hour is going to be free. And yeah, well, it makes sense for PlayStation Plus people to get this for free because they're the ones that are going to actually be able to play it. You got to have online. Do you know that to this very day, ladies and gentlemen, for the entire lifespan of PlayStation VR, I have not had PlayStation Plus, and I've not been an online gamer on Sony's VR platform. I've never had online on Sony's VR platform except for a couple of times as just like a 2-day trial, just so like where you fake an account or whatever and you can use it for like 24 hours or something. I've done that a couple of times just to try something for a day, but that is it. And part of the reason I've never done it all the way is because I feel like there's no incentive for somebody that isn't really an online, like I'm not an online guy. I don't really care about playing multiplayer games. I'm not like a first person shooter guy. I don't really get into this stuff that much. But if they were giving away free games on a regular basis, like if you knew for sure that you were going to get VR games every single month, it would be way more tempting, but it's not like that. They still have never guaranteed that. One thing we could talk about real quick is Sony's situation. They are in such a weird situation. I've brought this up a lot of times on different interviews that I've had. But yeah, let's talk about the Sony situation for a second, because honestly, like this may be the last time that like I'm on the air for a long time. And so I'm not going to be able to comment on a lot of these things unless somebody brings me on as a guest on somebody else's podcast or something like that. I'm not going to really be able to comment on these things. So the PlayStation story is an interesting story because I don't think most people out there realize just how sticky a situation this is going to be on so many different levels. Sony, I do not envy them. I don't envy them at all because they are in a harsh situation. They're in a harsh situation from so many different angles because they're trying to please so many different parties. They're trying to be faithful to people that have old PlayStation VR equipment. They're trying to be, and then they're trying to be faithful to people that have old PlayStation VR equipment and all they have is an original PlayStation 4. And then they're trying to support the people that have PlayStation 4 Pro. And now they're going to support people that have a PlayStation 5. But there's going to be people this Christmas that are going to buy a regular PlayStation VR this Christmas 2020, while other people are buying a PlayStation 5. Some people are going to buy the regular PlayStation VR this Christmas. They're going to buy it. And so they've got to support those people for years going forward. This is going to be a complicated scenario for Sony. I don't know how they're going to navigate it. And then there's all the questions of, well, when do they bring out whatever headset they bring out? The tracking, the controllers, all of that. We know that Sony needs an entirely new setup. I mean, I cannot in good conscience recommend that somebody gets like an old PlayStation 4 off Craigslist and an old PlayStation VR setup, even though someone could probably do that for $300. They could get all of that. And they could be like, somebody could have no PlayStation whatsoever. None. No PlayStation 4, no PlayStation VR. And if they're very smart and they go to Craigslist and they offer small amounts for things and really try to bargain people down a little bit, for $300, maybe even $250, you could have all of it. And you could be playing in VR right now for very cheap. But Sony is just in a weird thing, man, because they got PlayStation 5 coming. And, what I was going to say is, like, I can't recommend somebody go do that. I can't recommend somebody take $300 and go buy all this old stuff and have all these wires going everywhere and have one tracking location that's coming from one side. I was playing Shadow Legend VR on PlayStation VR. I like it. Shadow Legend VR is a good game, and they did about as good as a job as you can do on PlayStation VR. Graphically, the whole ball of wax. But goddamn, is PlayStation holding... Like the entire PlayStation VR thing is holding back everybody on PlayStation VR. These developers are programming with both hands tied behind their back. Think about the developers at London Studio. They're trying to make games and they got to peck the games with their freaking noses because their hands are tied behind their back because they've got one tracking camera. They got some busted ass controllers with no thumbsticks. So what do I recommend people do? I recommend they get an Oculus Quest. I would always recommend a Quest over PlayStation VR. Why? Because Quest is real VR. It's real VR. It's a real tracking volume. It's 360 degrees. It's controllers that melt in your hands and work properly. And people will say, but wait a minute, the Oculus Quest could never do Farpoint. The Oculus Quest couldn't even do Astrobot. The Oculus Quest could never do Skyrim, and PlayStation VR did do Skyrim. The Oculus Quest could never do, blah. They'll go into all of that, and I'll be like, take all that shit. I want the tracking. I want the wireless. I want the ease of use. I want the lack of friction. I want to remove 25 cables from the equation. The whole thing, man, it's like old and shit. And they need a new system. The problem is they're in such a hard situation, man. They're in such a hard situation because what a lot of people don't understand, this is the same thing for Oculus Quest 2. This is the same thing for the next version of Magic Leap 2. All of these products that are out there, HoloLens 2, like all these different products that you can get out there, when the Quest Killer, any product that you think of, when you bring out a headset, especially if it's tied around a store, like think about the Index is tied around Steam, and Valve comes out with Index. And Index is a great example here. The GlaroVision. Index is GlaroVision. It's great in a lot of ways, but it is GlaroVision.com, confirmed. All right? But Valve made a decision. They know the glare is there. They know what the Achilles heel is of the Index. But all of these companies, they're giving birth to a baby. The baby is born. The minute that the product goes on sale in retail, and you're selling to everyday consumers, that baby is born. And that baby has a lifespan, man. And so all these Quest people, like when I was talking about the Quest Killer, everybody got triggered because, see, a lot of people just bought a Quest. And people don't want to hear that they just spent $550 and then they bought a freaking Quest bag and then they bought this and then they bought a Frankenmod and now their investment is up to $700 and something and then they bought a freaking battery charger. And they bought little skins for their controller. And so their investment has now ballooned to $800. And here I am talking about a freaking Quest Killer. They get triggered because they're like, hell no, I just paid $800. People get nervous about that, right? But when a baby is born, here's what I got to tell to all of you people that are worried about like having a brand new Quest so quick. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen because Facebook has intelligence. Oculus has intelligence. I wouldn't say Pimax does, and I wouldn't say HTC does, but Facebook does. And Facebook knows that they're selling Quest to Sally Walmart, to Johnny Walmart, to Johnny Sears, Sally Sears. They're selling Quest to the salt of the earth. And I can tell you this, the salt of the earth would be pissed as hell if next year there's another brand new Quest that just freaking knocked their shit out the box. They would be pissed as hell. No, these products are going to have a 3-year lifespan, bare minimum. Bare minimum. 3 years. Same thing with the Valve Index. Tough titty, baby. 3 years. Valve is not going to sell another brand new VR headset 2 years later. These things are going to have a 3-year window. They're a baby. They're a precious baby. And when these companies release these products, they are stuck like Chuck. They can't make a change. They can't pull it back. They can't be like, oh shit, we should have put double the memory, or oh shit, we should have had a 5G modem in there. Oh my God, we made a terrible mistake. We should have had a 5G modem in there. They can't take it back. Once it's been released into retail, it's done. And see, this is the thing that we've got to understand about PlayStation VR 2. Sony has one chance. They have one chance to release a PlayStation VR 2, and they know that the PlayStation VR 2 needs to live for 4 years. It's going to have to live for 4 years. So Sony has to think about this logically. right? When is PlayStation VR 2 going to come out? It's going to come out November 2021 is my prediction. Nostradamus special. November 2021. But it's got to last 4 years. It's got to last for 4 years. So you're talking November 2022, November 2023, November 2024, November 2025. It's got to survive and be viable all the way to November 2025. 4 years for PlayStation VR 2. So Sony has to understand, and then also they've got the price point. They've got a price point they've got to deal with. They can't come out with a PlayStation VR 2 that costs $999.99. It's not going to work. They know that $399.99 is pretty much the max that they can possibly do. Maybe they could push it $100 more to $499.99 just at the very start. A $500 headset for PlayStation 5, November 2021. But it's got to last for 4 years. So they've got to think way ahead. They've got to think about scene recognition. They got to think about wireless. They got to think about eye tracking and foveated rendering. All of these decisions have to be made. The same decisions are going to be made with the Oculus Quest 2 when it arrives, with a HoloLens, another HoloLens, like whenever that goes consumer, with InReal, with any of these products. People will tell you, they'll say, no, Anthony, you don't get it. We're in a new world now. A brand new phone comes out every year. How many times have I heard the brand new phone analogy? God, it is so effing overused. A brand new phone comes out every year and it costs $800, $900 and people line up for them. Okay, I'm not lining up for any of those phones. I'm not tripping on phones that much. I'm not a phone nut. Like, I don't give a rat's ass about all these fancy phones. Give me a decent phone, I'm good. Like, I got a relatively old iPhone and it's no big deal. So I'm not the one that's lining up to buy no $900 phone. And no, I disagree. People are not ready to buy consoles like every single year, Quests every single year. No, I know there's a hardcore enthusiast that is ready for that, but we're talking mainstream. We want these things to go mainstream. And honestly, when it comes to mainstream acceptance, you need 3 years or 4 years with a product. Just look at the Oculus Quest. I mean, look at the very first Oculus and look at the Rift S. What was the time difference between that? You know, I mean, consider it. Consider the time. Look at Sony. When the PlayStation VR was first available, we still don't have PlayStation VR 2. And you really think these new headsets are coming every year? No, you're going to get a new headset from like a Windows Mixed Reality or a Qualcomm reference design person. It's going to be an oddball. It's going to be a Pimax or something like that. It's going to be a Star VR. It's going to be one of these other ones. The main competitors in this industry know. Dave Station VR says, what's the point of this rant? The point of this rant is just people don't get it. People don't get how hard it is for a manufacturer to make the decisions on these new headsets. I just think it's fascinating. I know I kind of went off into a whole diatribe there, but the basic point I'm trying to make here is I think it's absolutely fascinating, the situation that Sony finds themselves in, because I don't know how they're going to navigate it, because whatever they do, they're pissing somebody off. They're going to piss off millions of people. Whatever they're going to do, whatever they do, either it's going to be too expensive, they're going to piss off people based on price, or it's going to be not good enough because they're worried so much about backwards compatibility. Whatever they do, they're going to piss off a giant contingent of people. And then they're also in a threat. Remember, Sony has to be aware of everybody else. Facebook, the way the Oculus is selling, the Oculus Quest, it is a factor. I believe Nintendo, I believe Microsoft, anybody that wants to be in the VR, anybody that wants to be in video gaming in general is going to eventually have to deal with the Oculus Quest situation. There's no question about it. Anyways, let's go ahead. What's the point of this rant? Good point, Dave Station. I got a little bit off track there, but I do believe it's a complicated thing. Okay, Paradise Decay says, I always get 2 new cans and a new piece of string every year. What is Anthony talking about? Frank Zappa says the Pimax Parmesan is a great deal. The Pimax Parmesan, that's a good one. Phil Yarn says, I probably would have impulse bought an 8KX if it was available. Yeah, the Pimax question. What about that? Okay, Nathan says, not trying to plug myself, but I'm curious what you think of my first coverage from China. The video is about a VR racing simulator that promotes a clothing store worth checking out. You know, Nathan, I haven't checked it out. I haven't seen your videos yet from China. In fact, I'm like 2 weeks behind on F Reality. Like, I haven't listened to the most recent F Reality episodes either. I'm like one of these people that's like falling behind on a lot of shit. Yeah, so I haven't seen it, Nathan. I apologize. I have not seen that yet. Let's see. What did I... Oh, you know what? I probably have some more people I need to thank. So let me go back to the Thankovision. Let's go ahead and thank some more PayPal donators in case I didn't thank these people already. Let's see. We have Joanne Kinney, Jay Weezy, Chris Schuler, Stephen Charman, Serge LT, Rainer Prezell. I know I'm murdering some of these names. Justin Peters. That one's pretty easy. Gaming Science Teacher, Gregor Roethlisberger, DLG27, Jerry Williams, Carrie Gronvelt, Greg's VR, and John Duncan. By the way, guys, Greg's VR. Let's go back to the webinator here. Oh, by the way, you know what I could do? Let's see. Am I in the right spot? Yeah, so what I could do is go to YouTube and let's highlight some shows that you guys should probably be checking out. Let's see. YouTube. There's a lot of other shows that you guys should probably be checking out. But I wanted to mention Greg's VR. Let's see if this comes up. Greg's VR. Okay, here it is. Greg's VR. Now, Greg's VR has 953 subscribers, guys. I want Greg's VR to hit 1,000 subs. Dude is legit. He covers a lot of racing games. He's kind of like a racing guy specialist, but he's been banging away for a long time. He's looking to get 1,000 subs. So that's your boy Greg's VR. And he was a PayPal donator, so that's extra bonus there. But what are some of the best shows out there that you guys should probably check out with VR365 going the way of the dodo bird? And obviously there's Coffee and VR. You know, Coffee and VR, rendered reality. You know, check these guys out. They're doing big things. You definitely want to check them out. Of course, you got, you know, Virtual Strangers. There's a small channel called Nathan. You got your Virtual Strangers. God, these guys, 638 subs. These guys should definitely hit 1,000 subs. Doing so much work, banging away so hard, covering so much news stories, doing a lot of stuff. I like what Virtual Strangers is doing. I mean, there's so many shows out there. You know, Virtual Insider, of course. We just had Alex on like a week ago or whatever it was. Virtual Insider. He's always doing these big ass like Boneworks, like how big can you make your font? Alex, how big? He's like, it can always be bigger. It can always be bigger. So there's a lot of great shows out there. There's tons of great shows. Yeah, Eric for President. I mean, just there's tons of them, right? Tons of them. VR Link, Gamertag VR. Dude, Gamertag VR is doing a lot. Gamertag VR is working hard. This guy is working hard for his money. He is working hard for his money, straight up. Always streaming stuff. Like, look at that, streaming. I don't know how he does it, and I don't know how his wife isn't, like, ready to strangle him. Because it's like Paradise Decay, like these people that just work, like they're just constantly making video after video after video. It's amazing. Pialo Triani, see if I can find his channel. Yeah, here it is. You know, he's been banging hard. Paolo, look at that. Look at Saints and Sinners all day long. Speed run. He's got the bat to prove it. Dude, okay, Paolo, did you really get a bat and put some chain link fence around it to really make it look like that? So Paolo's banging away hard. So many great channels. So definitely want to appreciate all those people out there. Okay, let's see. Do I have another batch of people I need to thank? Let's try PayPal donators number 3. I don't know if I did this one yet. So this one, Raymond Delatorre, Gerillo, Mr. PM Smith, Phil Yarn. I think I did this one. Yeah, I did this one already. I just want to make sure I get through all of them. I don't want to leave anybody behind. And there may be a couple people that are still missing. That was the very first one with Deli Wolfensparger. These are all the PayPal donators. I just wanted to make sure I went through all pages of that. Because I had 5 different pages we did that one. So yeah, I think I did all of these. So I think I'll go back over to the Patreon guys. We'll go back to the Patreon guys. All right, let me see what folks are talking about in chat. Gaming Science Teacher says, rendered reality, virtual strangers, guys. Big overlapping community. Come on over if you haven't already. Yeah, there's plenty of other shows out there, so there's plenty of channels to check out. There's probably too many channels, honestly. Oh, Stonepunk Studios is in the house. Stonepunk. I wanted to have Jay on the show again and talk to him about like Tarzan, Disciples, the different games that he's working on right now, and then like doing a licensed game, adding these other people on. Lots of interesting stuff to probably talk about again with Stonepunk Studios. Also, honestly, the number one question I have for Jay from Stonepunk Studios, what is his take on the I was going to say the Gerillo effect. What is his take on the Asgard's effect? The idea of Boneworks, Asgard's Wrath, E-Spire 1, Budget Cuts 2, Stormland, Pistol Whip, Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, basically all these big games that came in like the last 90 days or so, these really big banging games. What is it like to be a developer like Stonepunk Studios and to know that you are in a new world? It is a new world. Tarzan is going to have to deal with different kind of competition than it would have had to deal with a number of years ago. Same thing with Disciples. It's a different world that we're in right now. And it's hard, man. Like that's the hardest thing. Like, we are breaking into the mainstream, but at the same time, some of these smaller developers might get lost in the shuffle. Now, Stonepunk, they've got talent, real talent. Like, I still, to this day, I think Stonepunk, Primordian, still is some of the best demo material you could ever put somebody in. Ryan Hawley says, the shows are just too long sometimes. Yeah, so what I'm doing right now, guys, this is a longer show right here. This is a longer show. But I just wanted to allow for 2 hours on this episode just in case, because I don't know when I'm going to be back. It might be a long time. Like, we can talk about for a quick second, when am I going to be back? Like I said, the strategy right now, my plan at this point in time is I'm going to disable my Patreon for the month of February. So I'm going to put that on hold. I'm going to work on VRGameRankings.com, and I'm not going to worry about this freaking AdSense crap and this YouTube crap. I really freaking tried, ladies and gentlemen, but it didn't effing happen. So F it. I'm just not even going to think about it. But eventually, I know I'm going to want to do some more videos at some point. And then what am I going to do at that point? And I've always kind of thought about hosting my videos somewhere, but having them on VRGameRankings.com. Now, I know a lot of people won't go over to the website to watch a video, and they're like, that's dumb, just have it on YouTube. What are you doing? Why are you trying? But whatever, I might try that a little bit. So I might try some of that. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. But yeah, we'll see if anything ever changes. But I'll be working on VR Game Rankings like a mofo, and I'll definitely be trying to update the website way more and trying to update the game profile pages and writing more articles and those sorts of things. That's definitely what I'm going to be trying to do primarily. But yeah, I just want to thank everybody that has helped this show since the very beginning, since way back to the Vivecast, VR Roundtable, VR Game Rankings, the website. Thanks to the people that have helped me along the way with VR Game Rankings, the website. People have helped me out with that. People have donated some time and helped out with that. I appreciate that. All the support for VR Game Rankings, the YouTube channel that I had before VR365. All the support for VR365. All the people that have been cool in the community. Tons of people have been cool, dude. I went to OC6 And I met a lot of these big time YouTubers. Like I met Nathy face to face. I met Mike from Virtual Reality Oasis. Cass and Cherry, met them in person. Just as lovely in person, by the way. Everybody was there pretty much, so got to meet like a lot of these people. Got to meet Steve of Conquer Reality, Alex VR. Gamertag VR wasn't there. I didn't get to meet Gamertag. You know what sucks? I did get to kick it with my boy Chris from VR Roundtable. I've never met Gary face to face. Never met Steve Bishop face to face. By the way, though, I'm hoping to go to GDC. GDC is coming up this March. It's only like a little over a month away. Game Developers Conference 2020 in San Francisco. I am planning to go to that. I don't know absolutely for certain if I will be accepted. Last year I got in as a member of the press, had a really good time. I'm hoping to go again this year. So like last year, me and Sebastian, we did a show, an impromptu show after one of the days of GDC. We were talking about the Rift S. We were talking about the Oculus Quest. We were both there at GDC. That was awesome. I met Sebastian in person. That was a highlight. That was really cool. Going to GDC last year was really cool. So I'm hoping to go to that this year. I'm still working in the VR gaming industry. I'm not stopping. Just this YouTube channel is stopping. But I'm still going to be banging away on the website. I'm still going to be playing games. I'm going to be writing more articles and doing stuff like that. And we'll see how it works out. But I am planning on going to GDC. I'd love to go to Oculus Connect 7, I guess. I'm still gonna try to do that. So it's not like I'm retiring and I'm just gonna be like laying around getting fat. I'm not gonna do that. So I'm still gonna be banging away. Nathy says, is Half-Life launching after or before GDC? That's kind of interesting. Honestly, I think if they're smart, wait till, they could do whatever the hell they want, but I think it would be better for all parties involved if they started like 2 weeks after GDC. You know what I mean? Like, I think it would just be better if they wait till after GDC. Eric Hartley is going to GDC. He says, I will see you there. Sweeve Ivor will be at GDC. I might get to finally try a Pimax with my boy Sweeve Ivor. So I am hoping to go to Bill B says, you will be a civilian. No, I'm not. I'm not going to be a civilian. I'm still working on VRGameRankings.com. That will be the focus at that point. So that's what I will do. So I'm going to try to get into GDC, and that should be fun if I'm able to do that. So I am looking forward to that. Let's see. Was there anything else I wanted to mention before we end the show? Because it's basically the end. Yeah, I do want to try the 8KX. Like I am, the one thing I'm still scared of Pimax. Just my fear of Pimax. Here's what I'll say to Sweeve Ivor about Pimax is if I could buy Pimax at a Best Buy, like if I could walk into a Best Buy store, buy a Pimax, and then buy a protection plan on the Pimax, where the protection plan is like one of those no questions asked kind of protection plan, where it's like, basically, if you've got a problem, we're either going to give you another one of these headsets, or we're going to give you your money back, or we're going to give you the credit to go towards something else. Like if there was some deal like that, I would literally be tempted to buy a Pimax. My biggest fear with Pimax is buying one, falling in love with it in certain ways, and then something goes wrong with it, and then having to wait possibly months or whatever. That's like my biggest fear. And I don't want Pimax's protection plan. I want another company's protection plan. And look, I might be irrational with this idea. I might be totally irrational to think about this. I know Amazon is selling them, but Amazon, could I try the 8KX off Amazon, and if I don't like it, I can send it back and I can get my full money back? I kind of want to try them in person though. I don't like buying things and returning it. I've always been against that. Not a fan. But anyways, we've been going pretty long here. I got all day long because this is the last show, so whatever. Let's see. Just checking out. Oh, Sweeviver said that's what we're working on. Hopefully Best Buy and Micro Center. Yeah, and those places have very good protection plans that you can pay extra for that you can add on top of it. James M. Outro speech, words of wisdom, and one more metaphysical minute. Well, here's my metaphysical minute. I'll give you a metaphysical minute. Part of the reason that I'm bouncing off of here is kind of metaphysical in a way, because it's almost like I'm being moved off of this platform. Like there's been this roadblock. I've had this monetization roadblock since the very beginning. Just bad luck. It is just straight up bad luck. If I never created a website, I would have never had this problem. See, I created a website, vrgamerankings.com, and I hooked up a Google AdSense account to try to connect it to the website. This was way before I ever started doing VR Game Rankings YouTube or VR365 YouTube. I had an AdSense account, tried to get it onto the website. That's my problem, because it got stuck. It got stuck in that process of trying to get it onto the website, and it's just been stuck. And there's basically been this monetization roadblock since the very beginning. So it's kind of this situation where it's like somebody doesn't want me on YouTube. Somebody is pushing, like whoever's running this simulation does not want me on YouTube, because they just put roadblock after roadblock after roadblock. So I feel like maybe my calling is in some other area. Maybe I thought I had a natural talent for this shit. I really did. I thought I had a natural talent for this. Paul Bellino made a donation recently, and he's like, Anthony, you're better than you think you are. No, dude, I used to think I was good. I really did. I really thought I was good. Like, I thought I had a gift for gab, and like I had this like a professional kind of a flow. Like a TV broadcaster kind of a flow. I thought I had some game, man. I really did. But, subs don't lie. Views don't lie. So I was never as good as I thought I was, but I did think I was good for a minute. But yeah, something wants me off YouTube, so F it. I'm off YouTube. They got my, who's ever running the simulation got their wish. I'm off. But let's see. What else was I going to say real quick before we bounce out of here? Yeah, Phil Urine says, yep, definitely has the gift. I don't know. I would argue against that, because if I had the gift, would I have 2.6 subs or whatever? I can't break 3,000 subs. If somebody really had the gift, wouldn't they have done better? I think they would have done better. So, I might be halfway decent, but I don't know. But yeah, I guess I've pretty much covered everything. Well, thanks to everybody out there. Truly appreciate it. Again, appreciate everybody that guested on this show. Appreciated everybody that's provided support at different times. People have reached out to me, like Mike from Virtual Reality Oasis. One time I did a show and I was like groaning about my problem. I went on like a crazy rant. I have these meltdown shows every once in a while where I totally melt down. And I had a meltdown show, and Mike from Virtual Reality Oasis saw the meltdown show, and he reached out to me on Twitter and said, dude, do you ever want to chat sometime? I could talk to you for a minute, because I know you're going through something, if you want somebody to talk with. I had a long talk with Mike from Virtual Reality Oasis. That was really cool. He didn't have to do that. He didn't have to reach out. Nathy's been really cool. Nathy has reached out to me and helped me out. I Am Roots has helped me out. Lethal Weasel VR has helped me out. Main Fan has helped me out a lot. Main Fan's been on this show as a guest. I couldn't find the thumbnails, Main Fan. Apologies that you weren't in there. Kevgret has helped me out. Kevgret has helped me with some behind-the-scenes stuff with VR Game Rankings, getting some of his advice on some PlayStation things. Kevgret's helped me out. Like Gaming Science Teacher has helped me out. So many people have helped me out. It's ridiculous. I'm indebted to so many people. I've been on other people's podcasts. Like, that's super cool. Like, Rendered Reality has had me on their podcast. I've been on F Reality had me on their podcast. So I've been very fortunate in so many ways. I've got to go to OC6. I got to go to GDC. I've gotten so many free games Like, think of all the free, and I've been able to play games way in advance. You know, I was able to play Saints and Sinners before anybody bought it. You know, I was able to play lots of games. I've had them early. I've had access to hardware because of your guys' Patreon support. I might not be a Valve Index owner. If I was just a regular Joe Blow trying to survive, I might not have a Valve Index. I have a Valve Index because of the Patreon support. I was able to get an Oculus Quest. Oh, the Franken mod. Think of who I have to thank for the Franken mod. I got to thank MameFan for selling me his Vive Deluxe audio strap on a hell of a good deal. He gave me an incredible deal. Hardly charged me anything for shipping. That was awesome. And then I got to thank Schmitty from Rendered Reality. Do you know that Schmitty sent me these brackets for the Franken mod to make it incredibly easy, charged me no money, shipped it free. I want to thank, God, what are they called again? Damn, I'm having a brain fart. Studio Form VR. Studio Form VR sent me a lot of little Quest things to try to make my Quest comfort better. I mean, people have reached out. VR covers have given me some free VR covers a couple of times, I think. They gave me one for an Oculus Go. So I've gotten a lot of free things. I've gotten to go some places that I didn't think I would go to. So many free games, so many great guests, so many good comments, like so many awesome comments from people. You know, I read all the comments. Now, I don't respond to a lot of them, but I've gotten a lot of great comments. People in the community, you know, in the greater VR community, like on Reddit. I've had people, like I've been on Reddit just posting something and somebody's like, "Oh, are you, you're from VR365, right?" And they'll give me like extra, like they think like my opinion matters more. No, it doesn't. But yeah, it's like this like little tiny minor celebrity that you get from being in the VR community. That's fun. Like that was fun. Doing, you know, the different interview shows are really fun. So yeah, it's awesome. Let's see what some folks are saying in chat. Ryan Hawley says, "I hope we see you again. Good game all." Dave Station said, "I wouldn't take this as an indictment of how good you are." Yeah, I don't know. I mean, ultimately it does come down to results, right? Austin Barlow says, "Sorry to hear about this. You helped to introduce me to VR, even though I have not pulled the plug yet with getting a headset yet." You know, Austin, it's an interesting situation that you're in. If you have not pulled the plug on a VR headset, it's a real interesting situation because, you know, I would wait for Mobile World Congress in late February. Wait for Mobile World Congress. Yep, there might be something. Oh yeah, Jim Hall, my producer. Jim Hall, my producer. And dude, I really thank Jim Hall because, dude, Jim Hall, seriously, I would look so much more amateur hour if it wasn't for Jim Hall. Like these different little scenes that I have where I could go to these different, I would try to play around with some of these, but some of them might be screwed up if I screw around with them. But these different, like the different setups that I have here, you know, my Twitch setup like this, you know, all these different setups, the web browser like this style. Jim Hall basically did all of that, helped me with all of that in a major way with OBS. I've had people help me with OBS. Steve Bishop has helped me with stuff. Gary Reckoner VR has helped me with stuff. Steve Bishop has written a couple of reviews on VRGameRankings.com. Gary Reckoner VR has written some reviews. Jesse Benson has written some reviews on VRGameRankings.com. So I've had a lot of help from a lot of people. Really appreciate it. So yeah, awesome. Thanks so much for everybody. All right. Well, yeah, that's pretty much going to do it for this episode of VR365. I don't believe it's over. And honestly, I can tell you it's not over. There will be more videos of me at some point. I don't know where they'll be, and I don't know in what form they'll take. I won't have a YouTube channel though, unless it's monetized. And then also the other thing I'll tell you guys, who knows? Who knows what could happen? It could, maybe 2 weeks from now, somehow this problem gets solved randomly in some unexpected way. You never know. You never know. And if this problem gets solved, I'll be right back. I'll be right back, and it'll be like nothing ever happened. I will bounce right back. So I'm not saying this is the last episode. I hope it's not going to be the last episode. An absolute worst case scenario, I will definitely have some type of video content on my website at some point. And what I'll probably do is I'll probably post a link on like the Oculus subreddits and the Discord server and stuff like that. And if you want to bounce over the website and watch the video, great. If you don't, that's fine too. But I know I'll do that. Worst case scenario, if nothing else, I will do that. Like when I go to GDC, I'll have a camera, might interview some people. That stuff might end up there. My thoughts on any breaking news, any breaking stories will probably end up on the website. And I'll be hosting it some way. We'll see how that happens. So anyway, that'll do it. Thanks everybody from everything. It's been awesome, but I do hope to see you guys soon. And, I'll be playing some more Saints and Sinners. I'm looking forward to Alex, looking forward to all the big games that are coming the rest of the way this year. I'm looking forward to see what Sony does, and looking forward to the Quest Killer. I'm looking forward to Oculus, what they do in the future. Looking forward to what HTC Vive does and Pimax and everybody. So it's going to be an exciting future. VR and AR, man, is just going to continue to get better and better. This is a runaway train. I was convinced from day one, and I'm never backing down. It's a runaway train. It's unstoppable, baby. All right, see you guys again. Take it easy. Later.